Hello everyone, I'm Paul McGuire Grimes. Jane Austen continues to enchant readers and writers and moviegoers long after her books were published. The latest page-to-screen adaptations of one of her classics is the Dakota Johnson-led Persuasion, which is streaming on Netflix, and I want to talk about it. This is Paul's trip to the movies. The novel may have been published in 1817, shortly after her death, but this new take offers up a slightly new concept for telling the story. Dakota Johnson breaks the fourth wall and directly addresses her audience as Anne Elliot, and informs us that she was almost married to Frederick Wentworth, who held her heart, but she was persuaded not to marry him. He's played by Cosmo Jarvis. Now she claims to be single and thriving, but is only being sarcastic as we see her crying and sulking. Now she's the middle sister of three, while her father, played by Richard E. Grant, loves money and vanity more than she does. Now she's still pining for Wentworth 8 years later, and finds out that he's coming back into town. Her heart beats even faster when she lays eyes on him. Now her road to love may be a bumpy one, given that Louisa Musgrove also has her eyes on Wentworth. But then the dashing Mr. Elliot, played by Henry Golding, comes to town and appears ready to win Anne over. This new version of Persuasion was written by Ron Bass and Alice Victoria Winslow, and is directed by Carrie Cracknell, who is making her feature film debut after a really accomplished career doing theatre in London. Now I'll confess that I'm not very well versed in Jane Austen, so this comes with me kind of just solely reviewing the movie without drawing comparisons to the source material. Now, we've seen countless Austen adaptations over the years, from straightforward by-the-book retellings to contemporary inspirations like Clueless and Fire Island. This take on Persuasion still keeps the story and costumes in period, but the choice to have Anne directly addressing her audience feels like a slight update in the execution, like modern television sitcoms. Now, Jane Austen devotees may call foul on this choice, and possibly over the casting of Dakota Johnson. Johnson has a really contemporary aura about her, which may pull some out of the period. For me, she really played up the multifaceted sides of Anne really well. You know, there's this playful side who's not always put together, but then there's this front that she puts on in public about being independent and free-spirited. But then behind closed doors, we see that she's a hopeless romantic, still clamoring over the same guy all these years later. Cosmo Jarvis makes for a really typical, rugged Austen love interest as Wentworth. You're not quite sure if he's totally right for Anne, but then Henry Golding sweeps in as Mr. Elliot. He is dapper and dashing and thinks that he's charming. Now, Henry Golding made a name for himself in Crazy Rich Asians, but feels a little underused here. But that may have been the point, as we never really come to like him. Director Carrie Cracknell uses it this time to then play up the tug and pull between Anne and Wentworth once Elliot comes into the picture. Now, there's this scene early on with Anne going through this box of keepsakes that just feels so outdated if you apply it with a 2022 lens. Now, parts of this movie really could feel cringy, so it's almost best just to view this in the old, traditional, sweeping romantic ways in the way that Austen intended. I'm giving Persuasion 3 out of 5 ticket stubs. If you like my review today, click subscribe on my YouTube channel. I got some other movie reviews, as well as my appearances on Twin Cities Live. Don't forget, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Paul's Movie Trip, and then go to my website, paulstriptothemovies.com, for even more reviews. Thank you so much for watching my review of Persuasion. This is Paul's Trip to the Movies.